Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. And I'm doing this missing a key tooth, so we'll see how far we can go with this. Today we're going to talk about a digital microscope that we have seen before, but under a different brand name. This other brand name came to me. It's called an Andonstar, and since I've already reviewed essentially the same thing, we'll just take a little bit different point of view as we go through this. So let's dig in with the unboxing, and we'll go from there to assembling it and see how well it does. So if we look at this thing here, it says Andonstar Digital Microscope Hone. For watch repairing, surface mount devices, and so on. So this is a digital microscope. Take a moment here and zoom this out. Now, if this looks familiar, we looked at an identical one of these with a different name on it. Well, so it's probably the same, but we're going to go ahead and just take a look at it. It says it's good for printing industry, textiles, industrial inspections, PCB inspections, and so on. So here is the digital microscope, and what we're going to do is open that up. All right, let's see what's inside. We have an instruction manual. And it's in color, and it shows all the different things that you can do with it. Okay, so there's lots of instructions. And here's a component list of the things that we have: the monitor, the base, which has 2 extra lights, some things for the stand, and then the assembly steps start there. And it's fairly easy to put in. There are 3 lens sets with it, okay, including a little, if you put slides on this thing, it will light them from underneath. Okay, so we go down in, we open it up. This box is designed for reuse. The foam is actually glued to the cardboard here. This is the screen, okay, and it says Andonstar on it. It's branded as Andonstar, and it's got several buttons down here. These buttons include an on-off, that's M, an up, a down, an OK, and a take a picture button, okay? And we have a remote for it. I really don't know why we would need a remote for a microscope, but there it is. You may find an excellent use for it. Here we have the cords. Okay, this right here is a turn on and off the lower lights, and an up and down in brightness. This goes to a 5-volt supply. This comes around and provides power to the lights on the stand and to the electronics for the microscope. This is not a USB-C. This is the cable that allows you to connect the small display to like a TV or your computer display. It's HDMI. Okay, and so if we take this out, and we're going to take this out first, we have the little, something's extremely well packaged when you can't get to it. This is a thing that you lay a little slide over that you're going to look at through the microscope, and it puts a little light on it. And it's got an LED in there, and there's a little way of powering it right there. This powers the entire unit. Okay, this is a standard 110 volt, 120 volt to 5 volt. Okay, now I want to make a special point about this. A lot of the ham radio peripherals are moving to 5 volts from 12 volts. And this is an example of that sort of thing happening. This is a 5 volt unit, not a 12 volt unit. So you need 110, or you need, and I think this should be happening now, is to start talking about power supplies, ham radio power supplies, that are both 12 volt and 5 volt. This right here is a memory card. It's 32 gigabyte. Here are some pre-prepared slides that you can look at various things through the microscope. We have a couple little of screws to hold things together. This is one of the spacers for the lenses. This right here is another where you can plug it into USB and power just the back of the thing. Okay. In here, we'll get that out next. In here we have a box that has different lenses for this thing. And the way the lenses are held in place, if you can see up in there, they got little screw holes, little brass screw holes. So you screw one of these little screws in there to hold it in place. Okay, we can take this one out now. And here is the rest of the unit. We have the base. Okay, now we're going to, a couple things to screw into these holes, which will hold slides down or hold other things down. These are LED lights, and you can use these to point at whatever it is you're looking at, okay? And this right here is the base that we're going to put everything in. And we have two tubes here. This tube is the one that goes up and down. This tube is the one that goes up and down. And this tube is the one that juts out from that and holds the lenses and things like that. So there's a lot of goodies in here. Let's see if we can put it together. Okay, we're going to start with the base. And let's get our instructions here. This actually is made pretty nicely. I'm impressed with how well it's packaged and the quality of the documentation. So we need the base. We put this, screws into, let's do it kind of on the side. This screws into here. Be very careful not to cross-thread it. And kind of twist it a little bit hard. Okay. So we've got that in there. Step 2 is this complicated thing. And this is a complicated thing. And I commend them for having most of the parts already put together. That is very nice. Okay, so this goes on this way. Goes onto the top of this right here. Okay, and you will be able to adjust the height with this knob right here, which will hold it in place. Okay, now we're going to end up moving that thing around. Okay, now we're going to put the display stand on. I'm actually going to move this to the direction I know it needs to go, which is out like this. Okay. And this is going to hold the the head. Now, it's not going to go through there till we take those screws out. These are the screws. These are the screws that hold this lens on. This is one of the lenses. Wow, let's go a long way. Don't lose these things, by the way. It might be good to have a little tray or a dish or something near this when you put it together so you don't lose pieces. Okay, now with those out, the lens comes out. Okay, there's the lens. We now move these screws out, okay, so that they're not tightening on the thing. And then we put this down in here like this, okay? All the way down. I'll show you on the side. It goes all the way down in there. Then you tighten these screws on the side to hold it in place. These screws right here to hold it into place. Okay, we're getting closer. Now we're going to put that lens back in. Well, it says insert the protrusion into the slot. Let's see if we've done that. I think we may have. Yes, there is a protrusion and it goes into the slot. Okay, so that means this won't turn sideways on us here. All right, now we want to put that lens back on. Right here, you can see the focal plane. That orangish thing in the middle there is the focal plane. That's actually a sensor. Don't touch it. Okay, now this goes back in here, and we'll take these screws, which we will use for other things, and we will put them into here and screw them in. Some assembly required. Okay. Now we've got the lens in. We could put the clips in here if we wanted to. There isn't a second page to the assembly instructions. So what is it that has to have power? Well, if you look right here, okay, as you can see, there's a ledge down here. And the places in it are for the power in, the power out, and where the little memory card goes. Now there's three additional lights, or three additional holes, which I suspect are LEDs. So we've got this. Now down here on the bottom of the thing, that's where you plug in for the lights. Okay, so what we're going to do is take this thing apart. The ubiquitous little black plastic things here. Okay, we're going to put one of these in the top of this thing here. Okay, and we're going to put that memory card Okay, that's in. Then we're going to plug this into the bottom. Now, is that really... You know, I'm going to just double check that with the instructions. Where did I put... And reset 11 is the HDMI port. 12 is the USB port. Okay. So we're going to put this into this one. And then we plug this into this. Now, let's take this big sheet off. It's got the million warnings on it. So we have the screen right here. Now these right here I have found on other microphones, it's hard to bend them all the way back to the point where they shoot on the focal plane of where you want to take a look. Okay. So let's pick something to look at. This is a, there's a fair amount of hysteresis in here. You bring it back this way, and then you take it all the way back. That's pretty odd that there'd be that much hysteresis, but you can get a beautiful image, and you can bring these in over here however you want to get the shadow just right. And you can see very well what's going on. And this is good if you have a question about a part or something like that. This is just a cover for that. This is a TT3G50, which is the common lightning arrestor used by hams. There are two different inserts. This is what the little glass insert looks like. Let's get some light off of that. There you go. The red ones are the low power ones, so up to about 200 watts. So put these things back in. You put them inside. You put them inside like this, and then screw this back down over here. Okay, so it's back in. So it gives you a nice view of the lightning arrestor. Now, one thing I don't like is the amount of hysteresis in here. Okay, let me see if I go a little too far on the focus. To come back, watch my fingers here, I have to come all the way back over here before it takes again. Okay, which is a little bit on the odd side. That's called hysteresis when you have to do that. The other ones I've worked with before, you can focus very, very beautifully right down on something. There we go, without that kind of hysteresis in there. So let's take a look at a different way of looking at things. We need actual microscope lens. So we're going to take this lens out right here. Now, it's very important that you don't lose the screws. You know what would be really nice if the manufacturer of this would fix it so that these are snap-ons, or push and lock something for these so that we don't have these screws to deal with. But we're going to now put this one in, and it goes in this way. Okay, now we're going to get some of our pre-prepared slides, which are right here. Okay, these are our pre-prepared slides. We'll just pull out one of them. This is a pine stem. Epidermis of onion WM. Okay, now we're going to get this little box, right here, we're going to pull out the plug from the base. And we're going to plug it into here. Okay. And then we're going to put this on top here. There. This is an actual microscope where we're looking at the epidermis. Again, we have that problem with the hysteresis. But we're looking at the epidermis of an onion, and you can see individual cells that are there. Okay, so this is a pretty powerful microscope that kids can use for school and stuff like that. Okay, so we go all the way from a microscope to what is basically a very large magnifying glass. I'm just for a minute going to put that other lens back on. We've got actually 3 lenses, but I want to show you something you can do. Now, this thing can go up and down here, and it can go backwards and forwards here, like that, if you want to get it more over the center. Okay, so you've got adjustments there. Now I'm just going to put a handy circuit board here. Here you can take a look at things. Now what's really nice about this, if you want to know if a solder joint is messed up, you can look at it under this microscope very, very clearly and see if something got messed up under here. Okay? And that's very handy. For example, there's 2 here that are separate from each other. You don't want a solder bridge between them. So you can check all of these for that when you put that together. Another nice thing is that coin collectors can take a look at coins. All right, there's a 2022 D from Denver Mint. You can turn them over, and this is a $quarter E pluribus unum Anna Mae Wong, okay, United States of America. This is a special quarter. A lot of people are collecting these, okay, and if you want, you can take a picture of it by pushing the picture button on the front. There you go, you've got your picture of it, and that you can do with whatever you want. Okay, so, you know, other things we could demonstrate would be showing this on an HDMI display, using that middle lens, looking at all kinds of things. This thing is just endless possibilities. If you have a teenager who's learning science for the first time, or even a 10-year-old or somebody who's learning science for the first time and wants to look at pond water under a microscope, this is it. You can use this. Also, you can use this in your ham radio work, looking for defects on circuit boards, see how accurate what's going on. Note that there is, note that right there is a surface mount component. And I think we had to solder that in, right? As I remember, didn't come pre-soldered. So you can check these very closely. If you need to get down closer on it, you can just lower the microscope down and get a bigger view of it right there. Okay? The thing is properly soldered, but not beautifully soldered. Okay? So there you have it. We went through an unboxing and we looked at some of the capabilities. We made the thing work. And this is exactly the type of microscope that would be useful in your shack or in anybody else's shack. I have one in mine that can be used to check your soldering and things like that for putting kits together. It's also an outstanding microscope to give to one of your kids who is getting into biology or interested in what's in the pond or what's in blood or something like that, and can actually see that because this is actually a microscope. It doesn't go way in. It's not a professional microscope. You can find these things on Amazon, and the link for that is in the text below the video. After I say 73, there are a couple charts there on how to contact me and so on. You can take a look at those. And until we next meet, 73.